What we're going to be doing next is simply adding in the code that's going to allow our different button states to be shown when the user interacts with it. So what we're first going to do is we're going to add another layer just to make sure we have a control for the button. Now we could attach the code directly to the elements we have here, but I believe it's a better practice to actually have a active element that you have the code attached to and not necessarily the graphics that you're working with. So what I'm going to do is grab our rounded rectangle and I'm going to make another little element right here on top. And I'm going to give this the name of active. Now, if you're familiar with other programs, you may call it a hit zone or the target area, but it's basically going to be the active area of the button. So I want to do something a little bit weird here. I'm going to make this a very crazy color just to prove a point. What we want to do is make sure that we're going to be controlling our actual button, our little rounded rectangle down here, with this particular button here, and we're going to do this by dropping the visibility of it. Now it's still active, and what we're going to do next is right click and open our actions for active. So the first thing we're going to do is add a mouse over. So we'll click our plus button here, come down and select mouse over. So what we want to do at this point is come over and click on stop at. And what we're going to do now is call our label. We want this to stop at the label over. So I'm going to put 2 quotes here. And so we want it to go to this particular label over. So we'll type in over. Now we're going to add another bit of code here with the plus sign again. And this is going to be on mouse down. And we want that to stop at down. So put 2 quotes there. And so this will be going to our label down. Okay. Now, if we don't do anything with this, once we click down, nothing else is going to happen. But we do want it to return to the original state. So we're going to add another element here and let's do mouse up. And we want that to stop at up. Now, if we've done this correctly, once we test out our movie, we should see our button changing color. And if you remember, we moved our button down about 2 pixels for the down label. So we should even see a difference there. So let's test this. Command return, Control Enter on PC. So our rollover is working. So that's looking pretty good, except for one small thing. If we roll over and just move out, the state is still there. So we want to add one more thing, and that's going to be on mouse out. So let's go ahead and close this out. So we'll right click, open actions for active. I'm going to come down and do mouse out. And we want it to stop at up. So we'll test our movie again. And now if we move the mouse out, okay, one thing that's a little bit weird, I think if we're still over this, it still should be purple. So we need to make our mouse up still the over. So let's right click, open our actions. And if you notice, we can now go through either one of these and change it really quickly. So we'll say on mouse up, we still want this to be over. And while we're still in Animate, let's go on and add one last thing. We'll go to our cursor and we'll change this to our pointer, and that will let the end user know that they are supposed to be clicking on this. So let's test again. Command return, Control Enter on PC. All right, so there's our cursor. And if we roll out or mouse out, it goes back to normal. If we click down, it turns a little bit darker, let up, back to normal. So there we have our multi-state button. So even though Edge Animate does not have a add button function, you can go in pretty easily and have a multi-state button that you've got a lot of control over.